Hello. In today's video, we'll talk about governance areas in TopBraid EDG. Governance areas are a key part of the governance model, and they contain business and data subject areas. So more generally speaking, what is a subject area in data modeling and information management? A subject area is a high-level grouping of some data content relating it to a major area of business interest, such as your customers, products, your operations, and so on. It is a very well-known term in the enterprise architecture, data modeling, master data management, modeling for data warehouses, and information governance. And its purpose is to organize the enterprise data model by the business areas of interest rather than by individual systems or applications. In TopBraid EDG, subject areas are used to organize asset collections and assign stewardships to groups of asset collection. So with that, let's take a look at how it works in TopBraid EDG. Here in TopBraid EDG, under the governance model section in the navigator, you see governance areas as the very first link. And this brings you to the page where you define your business and data subject areas and assign roles to them. So you could see I already have a number of them defined. And you could also see that they could be hierarchical. In this example, marketing and sales is under a joint marketing and sales area. You could also see that we could assign roles to the area and then associate users either directly by username or the group they belong to, or as members of an organization. So we could associate them with roles for an area. So let me create a new area. I will call it finance. And now that I've created it, I could add to it asset collections either by creating the new ones that will be categorized under this area, or by assigning the existing asset collections to the area. So for example, if I wanted to create a new glossary for finance, I could do it like this. And if we go back to our governance page, we see that we have a new asset collection under finance. And also, if I want to associate existing asset collections with it, I could use add existing. And for example, I've got product sales data, and I could associate it with it. And of course, there are typically multiple asset collections under the area. So, let me create a new data asset collection for, let's say, product, for the sale data set. So I'm going to call it sales data set register. So you see that I now have two asset collections of different type grouped under this area. And to assign roles to it, I could click on the area and then add a governance role. These are predefined roles, and that brings up the role. And now I could assign users to this role. So, for example, I could assign myself to the business steward role for finance. There is a separate video that focuses on stewardship, governance roles, and permissions. Please watch this for more detail on this topic, on the stewardship model. If I wanted to see more detailed information about the subject area, I could select it and click on details, and that brings up a form that I could fill out with additional information as well. As anything in TopBraid EDG, this is configurable, so if some fields are missing that you want to capture information about the area, you could always add this type of information. So this is a kind of a page where you organize your governance by subject areas, and then you associate your asset collections, assign roles, and so on. So how exactly would you define this organization structure? The answer to this question depends on the information governance model that you choose. So let's return to our presentation to look at the possible options. There are three most common approaches to structuring your information governance: centralized, decentralized, and federated. So the centralized approach to information governance is appropriate for small to medium-sized organizations. There is typically a single governance organization at the corporate level, and because it's a small organization, also you would typically define a single governance area to which all collections belong. And in terms of asset collections, you would normally have one technical asset collection to collect information about all your systems, one enterprise asset collection, probably one glossary, one requirements collection, enumeration, and a lineage model. Since even in this setup, there is multiple data sources, you would normally have multiple data asset collections per each database that you're going to be cataloging, and then one asset collection for all data sets. In terms of configuring TopBraid EDG and specializing ontologies that are shipped with TopBraid EDG, you would normally have one ontology that defines all the structure that you need for your reference data sets. If you're using taxonomies and SCAS, then extension of SCAS. And if you're defining any custom ontologies for data graph, you would normally have one ontology that defines data graph. I mean, you could have multiple, but since here we're talking about focused centralized setup, it will often be one. And then as needed, you could define, you could have multiple collections for different reference data sets and taxonomies. In this mode of governance, you typically assign governance roles for the area, but you could possibly assign some of the roles at the individual collection level as well. Now, decentralized governance is the best fit for a large company that has a number of business units or a number of divisions. And each of those business units have their own information governance program. There is no corporate alignment across those business units, and each of this division is set up as its own independent organization, typically with quite a bit of autonomy and their own operations. In this type of environment, you would create a business subject area for each of those business units and divisions. And then underneath, you will create sub-subject areas, as we saw previously, for example, for your finance, HR, and so on. And then within each subject area, you would use a setup similar to the centralized model. Now, federated governance is also typically used in larger companies that have divisions, and division may have its own governance programs, but there is also a corporate level governance that manages alignment between those individual programs. This type of governance, data governance model or approach provides uniform governance with this enterprise view that is important for the top executives in the organization. At the same time, it gives business units enough autonomy to govern their data in an agile way according to their needs without delay, but still fitting under this corporate umbrella. Using this approach requires governance maturity to decide which data should be governed centrally and which should be governed locally. You could also have some hybrids. And if that's the model that you use, you would typically create a corporate subject area as well as subject areas for each business unit. Irrespective of which approach to data governance you decide to follow, TopBraid EDG provides enough flexibility and capabilities to support your choice. Thank you for watching this video.